Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I promise we're going for lunch pretty soon. I'm hungry, so I do understand. It's a pleasure to be back on the stage, and would like to bring on, just for a brief conversation, and we want this conversation to be very informal, to be engageful, so we'll get an opportunity to open up for questions. Feel free to interact. This is why we're here. I have the awesome opportunity to bring on stage my sister, the DDG Shoki Chabalala. She's the branch head, mainstreaming women's rights and advocacy. Please come to the stage. And Ms. Sylvia Stevens Mazia, the National Youth Development Unit Director, Governance and Compliance Advocacy and Mainstreaming the Rights of Youth. Welcome. May I please have microphones for my panelists, please? Thank you. Well, don't they look beautiful up on the stage? Please give them a round of applause. Yes. We all woke up in the morning, dressed up, dealt with the traffic. Me, I'm dealing with fatigue from 16 hours of flying and sleeping 3 hours since arriving here. But yeah, I made sure that when I left the room, I slayed. Yeah. And didn't you all slay when you left the room? Yeah, we don't mess, we slay. Huh? But we slay with brains, don't we? Exactly. So welcome to our short panel. It is my pleasure to welcome both for this short conversation. You can see our room has a mix. It's an intergenerational room. And I think what we want to derive from our conversation is the journey of women's leadership. What are we defining as leadership as a woman? What are we defining as youth taking up space? What are some of the conversations we need to take from rooms like this to ensure that it's not just dialogue, but it's impact? So I'll start with you, DDG. If you could please just introduce yourself and share a little bit on the portfolio of the work that you are doing and why it was important for you to be here this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. I think the part you didn't tell is that you hijacked me.
I did. I thought that was our secret.
Yeah, because they will look at the program and they will say, oh, we thought this was so-and-so, or maybe she's now married to so-and-so. She changed the same name last night. Okay. The advantage on my part is that I belong to the Methodist Church. I'm a member of the Women's Mañano. So when you see me in my red and black and don't think I'm lost. And I'm raising this because you walk into church, sometimes it feels like I'm being punished because I'm not always there due to work and travel. But the day I walk in, they simply say, oh mama, Mam Shabalala sibambele plan. Mam Shabalala, it's your turn. And when I want to argue, why not? And then I get told, isotsha lihlala lihlomile. So today I really feel like I'm still walking in the Methodist church where I'm told isotsha lihlala lihlomile. You can translate in English. I don't know what it means. Does it mean a soldier is always well poised and ready to fight? I don't know. But in a nutshell, I think it is important for us to be part of this conversation. Whatever that has been said by the minister lays the foundation for our conversation. The interventions that she alluded to are not only a moral imperative, but a strategic imperative. Because if we don't intervene strategically, by looking at those areas that she highlighted, there's no way we are going to see the bigger picture. Each and every one here is like a piece of a puzzle, but put together, a full picture emerges. So without you as a young person, without you as a determined woman, you are a missing piece of that puzzle. We will never see the full picture. I always say you are like an onion ring. If you cut an onion into half, you get that small dot in the middle. Then the other layers follow. You are that small dot in the middle. It begins with you to realize that you have the ability, you have the potential, you have the capacity, you can network with other people, and you can actually take charge. I'm responsible for mainstreaming women's rights and playing that advocacy role. And it's difficult. A lot of you would normally ask, but what is this department doing? Benzani. Okay, Mendigo. Benzani. Nina Nobani. The challenge is we are not an implementing department. We are more on a policy side. That is why you have your National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. You have your Sanitary Dignity Framework for the provision of pads and other things. Then we deal with the monitoring aspect. We provide leadership and strategic guidance, but we also make sure that mainstreaming of women, youth, and persons with disabilities is happening across the board. We don't have the capacity as yet to reach out to private sector, but we've begun to infiltrate the government departments. When we receive their plans every year, before they actually get tabled to Parliament, we go through them. All of these government departments, kunzima, page by page, and we analyze and check, did they apply that gender lens? What is their strategic posture when it comes to women, when it comes to youth, when it comes to persons with disabilities? Are those plans blind, as we normally say, gender blind? Are they gender responsive? Because it starts with planning. If you don't plan and consider those issues, the transformation issues, there is no way you are even going to consider financing them in one way or the other. So we try and follow the big money. We go to departments like water and sanitation, departments like minerals and energy, infrastructure, because that's where the bulk of the money is. We then say, let's see, who are you talking to in this annual performance plan of yours? Do you even understand the gender issues in your department? Let's take an example. We are heading for 16 days of activism of no violence. Our theme is completely different. It's focusing on safe access to water by women. When you'll think about inqindi nokukhahlela namaface, we are not saying we are trivializing those. But we are beginning to bring it closer to the key departments so that they begin to have that gender lens and say, in as much as I'm responsible for water, but who am I supplying this water to? Who is hardest hit here? And if there are business opportunities there, shouldn't we benefit as women? As they put, whether they build dams for reticulation purposes and all, where are we as women? But shouldn't we be advocating Uguti, hey, there in Ligazi, in Sigazi, or whatever, where we're going to launch, women walk for distances to go and fetch water? On their way, they get killed by animals or people. They get raped. Their bodies are maimed. But when they get to the river, Mr. Crocodile is waiting for them. We just have an incident in Limpopo where the woman got killed by a crocodile. Now, when we plan, we have those planners who do not apply that lens, who just think about, there must be a dam, and where must it be, without even doing an analysis of which areas are water scarce, and how do we even reach those people. So I'm trying to give you an example of the strategic role that we are playing and the advocacy role that we are playing. Before I hand over to my colleague, we then say to women and young people, we have a platform called Women's Economic Assembly. I'd like my sister and some of your key people to join WECONA as abbreviated. Its aim is to unlock and unfold supply chain opportunities. So we are saying President pronounced a 40% set aside for procurement purposes. But if it's a pronouncement without an action plan, it can never be translated to practice. So our role is to push for Treasury now to say they are working on a procurement bill. We factored our inputs there, and we are pushing that the regulations of that bill should actually talk in one way or another to the 40%, so that there's something compelling. But that 40% must benefit wena muntu mucha and you women and all. But it cannot just come on a silver platter. And then they say, oh, okay, madam, come, here is the 40%, here is a tender. Are we ready? In terms of governance, are our companies in order? Are you compliant with SARS and all these other issues? If not, then come and tell us and say we are a group of women, because we are an organized formation. As an individual, you are not going to win this battle. And ask that we bring you on board at WECONA, but with the relevant departments to build capacity so that at the point when tenders are issued, you are able to step in. It's not going to just be siamniga because it's a woman. We're giving it to you because you are competent and you have the ability to do so.
Thank you so much. And I was actually going to follow up with a question to say, with the work that you're doing from a policy level, how do you translate it now to grassroots? How do you translate it to the person in the community to be able to understand the vital importance of your department and how they can connect with you so that they can reach to those services and be able to attain that? But we'll come back especially on the interest of the 16 days, because I think it's very interesting that you're looking at access to water within the 16 days of activism.
And safe.
Yes, and so it's quite interesting. So we'll come back to that. Thank you so much. My sister Sylvia, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. I am Sylvia Stevens Mazia. I'm working in the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I am currently in the portfolio responsible for mainstreaming the right of youth. And I have a message. And I think you want to know, how does this mature person reside in the portfolio? Of course, I grew in a youth activist lifestyle. I am still a gender, youth, HIV, disability activist in my own right within civil society outside being within the public sector. I'm one of the women that is the founder member of the Progressive Women's Movement of the Republic of South Africa. And I then also have grown through the ranks and was nurtured by Umama, minister that was here, and many other women, my DDG in my right-hand side. So within that, South Africa is a youthful population. And the youthful population is not just in South Africa, but it's in Africa. And within the democratic dividend, dividing to see how do we harness the energy, the potential, the skills to get to the Africa we want. And South African youth and youth in the main are within their skills, post their school qualification, and this national youth policy, which the country has, which have got a date for 2030, which we are still popularizing, because we note and we notice that a lot of us have not laid our ears and our eyes on the policy. We have since got 5 pillars in the policy. It responds from education, it responds to skills development, it responds to socio-economic empowerment, it even responds to issues of social ills. Minister alluded to substance abuse, to teenage pregnancies, to mental health, and some social ills that we realize that our youth are facing. This is where our department come in terms of advocacy and mainstreaming. As already outlined, that we are not an implementing department, but we are well positioned to mainstream and to also advocate. So we leverage and we build on our, South Africa have got the National Youth Development Agency, NYDA. That a lot of the youth in the room would say, no, we don't know where they are, we don't know what they are doing. Equally so about a department. How can you have a department of women, youth, and persons with disabilities? Now, when we gave birth as a country to this department, it was intentional to redress the imbalances of the past, to harness the potential of the youth in the country, and also to make sure with the legacy, those forebears, those who have been making sure that we get to where we are today, that we harness that and we move forward. Our youth are very much in need of knowing how best can they, when they are there in Springbok, or when they are there in Mthatha, or when they are there in Sekhukhune in Limpopo, they want to know where is the officers of NYDA? Where is the officers of the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability? We've got youth clubs in churches, we've got youth sports groups, we've got youth in streets, we've got, and we see that all the time. We've got youth in villages, we've got a lot of youth and the footprints of the youth of this country with their energy, with their skills, and with the 4IR, with the fourth industrial revolution. And our youth themselves have got phones. Their phones is their offices, is their laptops. It's underutilized because it's being utilized and when they need to be trained. Because we also have partnerships in making sure that they get skills, free skills online training. You can be in Africa and can work in Europe. You can trade, you can skill yourself, you can then, in its example, during our generation, it was just a hypothetical mindset whereby you have to imagine. But now it's real. So the call upon the youth is to continue to harness your age because you've got an expiry date. This policy says when you reach the age of 35, you're no longer youth. So whilst you're within that bracket of not taking that expiry date, knowing that new babies are born every day, so you'll stand back in the queue. If you miss the boat, if you are not getting active, organize, and revolutionize yourself and enjoy your time, you will then have to stand in a queue and people will say, your time is up, you're over. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope the young people in the room had the message. There are new babies born every day. Yesterday I had a conversation with our youth interns who traveled from Limpopo. Can you all just get up, please, so we can recognize you? Some of them are coming to Johannesburg for the first time. So this is extra special, and they are part of the Umlambo Foundation. They're interns at the Umlambo Foundation. So I think it was actually good that I hijacked you for this conversation, because the very thing that you addressed is what they wanted to be in this room to be able to learn about. So we're very thankful that the hijacking was actually a very good opportunity for our young people in the room. We don't have much time, but I'd like to circle back, coming back to you. You spoke about what you're doing on the policy level. But I'm sure our young people on the other side would like to really hone in on, if they were to leave this room today and they need to access the services, they need to connect, they need to have a voice within the services that you're offering. How can they do that? And why would that be vital for them to be able to do? Because these are questions that they were asking us, and we are at this forum. We will be around seasoned leaders, people that we might not meet on the street tomorrow. But we do not want to leave that room empty-handed, because we've been given an opportunity to be amongst them. So how, moving on from here, the young lady that is going back to Limpopo, back to her community, she's going to meet somebody else and say, there was Madame Sylvia on the stage and she shared on this and this. How will they be able to tap into the services you offer?
Thank you very much for a very important question. We have got youth focal persons in the Office of the Premier. They are based in Polokwane. We have got a National Youth Development Agency who also have offices in all provinces, but I'm responding in particular. We have got at local government level, we have got officials that is working under the special projects. Over and above that, we have got youth, women, and disabled focal persons in all departments, at all government level. So when you go to Department of Social Development, when they do youth and skills development in terms of youth centers, in terms of substance abuse, in terms of intergenerational dialogues, in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of, then you find the social work professionals that will be able to take them through in terms of youth centers and funding of youth centers as well, and also monitoring them. At schools, we have got, in South Africa, we've got youth corridors, at clinics for youth-friendly sexual reproductive health rights services. So we have got 54 from the Department of Health in the country. We also have within the Department of Education, we've got policies that is also responding. I will give and leave these copies with the youth, and also to advise. It's electronically accessible. So those who are, unfortunately, we did not bring a lot. If you don't mind, A, you can either go to the website, or B, leave your contact so that we can then also share. So when the youth does that, that is a port of entry in how they can do, and it's a plethora of the pillars. So everything that they need to move the needle to socio-economic empowerment, to also teach them to become entrepreneurial. And entrepreneur is not just about money. The young person who's spoken already as a mentor, that is a new niche. We always say to youth, you need to break away from the old professions and establish new professions. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Mama Shabalala, I'm coming back to you to wrap up. From what you slightly touched on with 16 days of activism coming up, right here at Women Lead Forum, moving forward to 16 days of activism and the theme that will be the focus in South Africa, what are some of the key things that you'd like us to know about what's coming up in November and our takeaway?
Okay. First of all, we're noting that as women, we have done our best to lead, to advocate. We marched. We had the total shutdown. But gender-based violence continues unabated. We even have added the word F into our strategy, femicide. Okay? Because the killing of women is like every day. You don't even want to listen to the news. Now, we decided that through our president, let us call the African leaders. They will be here on the 27th and the 28th of November. All 17 heads of states in the AU will be descending here at ICC. They will come here, one, from an accountability point of view, because the National Strategic Plan comprises 6 pillars. Pillar number 1 talks about accountability. They will come and tell us, Bona as heads of states, to what extent are they taking accountability in addressing this issue, from a policy perspective and at a programmatic level. But we also believe that men have the solutions. We don't beat ourselves, we don't kill ourselves, we don't rape ourselves. There's a perpetrator. So let them come and engage amongst themselves and come up with action plans, but for Africa, but also for us, our own president. He's championing this matter. He's the one who's going to also demonstrate to them the things that he has placed. But it doesn't mean all is hunky-dory and we are okay. We still continue to have those challenges. So the take from this is, play your part. Let us not despair. Let's continue to see how best do we nurture and raise our very own kids at a preventative level. But let's continue to advocate for access to justice for the very women and those with disabilities. Let's continue to advocate for economic empowerment projects, because without economic power, which is the 6th pillar of the National Strategic Plan, we achieve. Most of women have sustained those relationships because of those reasons. So the economic aspect should always be elevated. The capacity building of women, the AFCFTA issues, That's why I'm inviting you to join us, so that what you've already started in Ghana and other countries, bring it back home in our own meetings, so that the Department of DTIC can then begin to say, yes, we were working on the list of women that we can put for trade purposes and all of that on the platform, but we are still not yet there. We still cannot trade. The tariffs are on our side in a negative way and all of that. Bring it to us so that we have a work stream that pursues that dream, that vision that says we have cocoa. Remember, President signed an agreement with the one in Ghana, and I think it was Cote d'Ivoire. They also have the cocoa bean. Come on board to help us and say, the relevant department, let's look at that MOU that has been signed. And we are lucky we have the former ambassador. She's the one that can also help us on the inroads. We then say, how do we translate this MOU that has been signed by both presidents? We want to start trade. Either we set up a factory here, we get the cocoa beans here, we begin to produce chocolate or whatever the case may be, or we send some women somewhere to go and learn and come back. I've tasted some of their chocolates, but you can never compare it with your Swiss chocolates and everything else. Somewhere, something, I don't know whether it's the ingredient or what. What Minister spoke about earlier on, to say, we send, they produce, it comes back, then you go and buy, there's that red block your chocolate, Lint. Yeah. When you eat, yeah, shele, ne? But you go and take the one I tasted in Ghana. So why? What is it? And the training that they spoke about, Konamanje, we should begin to advocate even for the curriculum that we want for our children. Because I'm told in areas, countries like China and all, they even teach their kids at a very young age to assemble stuff and all. Yesterday, in conclusion, I visited my grandkids because they have a concert. And she says, help me quickly, Grandma, before we go. I need to do this homework of mine. I look at this thing. First question, who invented the bell? Who invented? And I'm like, are we still there? Really? Nyan nyan. Can't we find a way of learning about these things in general, let it be general knowledge, and learn about stuff that can really, really empower our kids? And as I make a joke, but a joke that is serious, those who went to primary school, there was a station, Mandibu. There was this one that says, Ketle, Kinna Ketle, Kinna Ketele, Seki Mukuku, Seki Mulomo, Telaka Motela, Telaka Motela, Tela. How did that help me? And the next thing, here I am, my mother is still telling the Ketele go the kitchen. I mean, honestly, no. I just want to wrap it there. Play that advocacy role and tell them what you want in the curriculum.
Thank you so much. A hand of applause for Mamu Shabalala. These are the conversations that actually bring us into these rooms, and just a word of encouragement as well. For, I think maybe we will talk about it and we'll leave information about the conference that's upcoming, the Positive Masculinity Conference, so that, you know, because most people would think when we say the 17 heads of state are coming, they'll be talking about gender things, gender-based violence, and then some will be like, but why are men going to talk about gender stuff and we are not there? We are supposed to be at that conference as much as they will be talking about things that are affecting us as women. So I think it will be vital for us to share information about that conference, and we'll work in helping to disseminate that information as well, so that it encourages us to ensure that when these conversations are happening, we can find our own ways as advocates and activists to ensure that our voices are heard, and we use offices like yours and departments like yours to make sure that information goes out there. So yes, and I just saw our youth and adolescents from Tetelelo Foundation come in. Please give them a hand of applause. They come from Alexandra, and they were just writing their national exams today, but they wanted to make sure that they do not miss the opportunity to come and be with us this morning. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much to yourself. Oh, Umama wants to go.
Just one thing that is going to happen, we are going to Wanongoma. There is a community there where the kids have the same surname, almost all of them. And when we made a follow-up, we learned Uguti, the father impregnated 3 or 4 girls, not once, not twice. The uncle, the brothers, it's here. Now, I'm just giving you an example that we will be descending there with your SASA, with your Home Affairs, because it happened that the kids don't have birth certificates because uyanjani your reporter ukuthi kuze kube nje kwanje kanje and all. But we are handling it, and these are the struggles. We will be there so that we leave that place, the young woman will continue and deal with that theory of change and deal with the sensitization issue so that we find a way of putting an end to this. It can be right.
Thank you very much. A hand of applause to our panelists. I'm sorry, Mama Taba, do you have a question? Okay, just one because Mama Shabala has to leave, yes.
Ngiyanibingelela. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, leadership. Ngifisa ukwazi la ukuthi since ama department of portfolios ekade nikhuluma ngawo, seemingly most people abekho aware noma bezwa but abazi ukuthi asebenza kanjani. Mhlawumbe sikhona ini strategy sokuthi niphumele ngaphandle ukuze bazi abantu. Kungangaphuma nina but indlela zokwenza since singama artists angishono ngoba mhlawumbe ngifuna ukwenza but ngiyabona ukuthi kungakhona indlela mhlawumbe like ama road shows or ama street theaters abazohamba bayiportray leyo mhlawumbe izokwazi ukulekelela ukuthi people babe aware ukuthi ama department lawo akhona umsebenzi wawo akanje. Abantu bangahlali babuke ku TV but bangazi ukuthi kuya deep bangena kanjani ukuze izokwazi ukulekeleleka even department yazi ukuthi siyakwazi uku-engage nabantu onabo mebe nenkinga bayakwazi ukubuyela bonina. I think leyo nto mhlawumbe ingasilekelela kuyi step.
Thank you all so much. And this making us believe, really believe that we are all thank you all so much. This making us all believe that we are all in this together. What I wanted to say, what you said about going to Nongoma, is us as foundation work with young women in helping and assisting to empower them, to help them find their voice and how to act. How do we participate and be part of that, and maybe have programs that we take, like in the squatter camps where we work, and we go even that area and go work with those young women to find themselves and to see how they can fight for in situations like that. Thank you.
Can I try? For Wanongoma, you can engage me after this, but I'll leave my particulars with the organizers. You are most welcome to join us. We've invited a number of civil society organizations and government departments. They will be setting up tents. Department of Health will do their normal drill testing, whether it's HIV, sugar, diabetes, whatever, creating awareness. So join us. If you have your own tent of Unuguihloma, please put it there with your pamphlets so that we create awareness in terms of who are you. The important thing, as Usisi Begashilo, but I don't think I understood quite well, is how do we continue to create awareness in our spaces where we are in terms of people knowing who you are, where you're operating from, how they can access you, what type of services that you're offering, because that's what we are pushing for. But in most cases, you find it hard to work because not as civil society organizations in CON, we don't work as a collective. And I'm appealing to you. Nonke Manila, you'll find that you all have NPOs. Ne? And if the two of us, the three of us are the companies in this area, I'm M3, she is a M5, she's M6 company. Ne? You all bring your business plans, individual business plans. Nitimina so itrisinike bansinga nikiban. And we're having just 5 rand each. All in all, it's 15 rand. But if you begin to work as a collective and say, we are now a group of women dealing with violence against children, I'm just making an example, or economic empowerment, we all do it collectively and we ask for funding. As a collective, you come back and deal with it and see how best you then disperse amongst yourselves. They can see you're organized. But the one that will survive is Shoki Shabalala, who can write a good business plan, who's got a computer and all. Umama Mahlangu, who can write a business plan, who doesn't have a computer, but who's doing an excellent job. Lapha Mahlabatini, she doesn't access that funding. So, Mina, from where I am, is work as a collective. Bashilo, but united we stand, divided we fall. Continue to work alone, you will not make those strides. And maybe let's talk after this so that I can give guidance. I don't think I understood your question properly. However, if you have a challenge in reaching out to a particular department, nothing stops you from contacting us. Our details are there, Guma website, our emails are there. I can leave my email. Mina, it's an official email, I don't mind. If I don't answer, I'm in a meeting. But if I get your WhatsApp, I'm able to listen. I have this problem or this program, I'll link you up. My role is to unblock whatever blockage that is there. My role is to link you with the next department to work with you. So my number is 082. Ithathe ungithumeli WhatsApp. Mina okwami ngiyakuthatha ngithi health. Nanku umuntu unenkinga ethize. Animlinkeni with someone to guide. Social development, nanku umuntu une problem ethize. But make sure that awufuni nje imali ka social development, but awuna ne business plan, awuna nama directors. When a self we director, we owner, we everything. Just because you are the founder, you are everything. Ayikwazi ukuba kanjalo. Masingayingeni kuleyo. 082 556 9156. Then we will find a way of saying, send that idea or the proposal, we link you up with the relevant department. Nani fundanu yokokota kulama department and rock that boat. Ningabayeki. Kishe ngasho into engafanelanga ngisho, but mina mabe ngiyini bengizohamba si leyo group leyo sifike sithi DG or DDG we department it is siqela ukubona. Kade sikubhalela ungasiphenduli. Asilwi, asikhahleli iminyango, sicela nje ukuthi usiphe nje 10 minutes uzusitshele kusuka la ukuthi sikhuluma nobani going forward. Yekani ukushisa izinto, yekani ukulwa, you are taking us 10 steps backwards. Let's talk.